This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
That first night in jail, no idea what's going to happen to you. You're away from everything that comforts you, everything that makes you feel at home. That's real fear.
Power poisons the heart.
I'm being set up.
It changes it from within.
We need to make people believe you are legit club owner James St. Patrick.
Keep your crews on point. It's business as usual.
But you can't hide from your sins.
We're family, and we protect each other.
If anyone asks, we don't call him Ghost.
Being with James St. Patrick was the biggest mistake of my life.
No citizen is safe with a man like him on the street.
How close are the feds to bringing the heat down on us?
Do we have anything to worry about?
No.
What's your price?
They're just trying to break you.
You and I are in this together. But you need to start acting like you know that.
This is a war, and our blood will draw the battle line. We want it. I'm never stopping. I'm never quitting. You know we rockin'. Let's get it poppin'. You know we get it. You know we
I want to help you, Kanan. Your path back to the top is wide open.
Your dad's about to get what he deserves.
I'm never quitting. I'm never stopping. You know we rockin'.
It's time for all of us to move on from Ghost permanently.
We taking over to Debbie. How this thing told us stop it.
He goes down, and you and I are the ones who survive.
You don't really think I did this.
You're right, Jamie. I know you did it.
I'ma keep grinding till the day that I die.
Power 1, 2. I still need to get caught up on the other ones. I really dug the second season of book 2, and I saw most of book 3. I still gotta go for book 4 of the Power franchise.
Oh yeah, like I actually just actually got caught up on all the other ones recently.
Ah, perfect.
I was on the fence about watching them at first because like sometimes when
I was the same way. I'm like, Tariq, oh no.
be milking the and not actually, but they're actually all pretty good shows though, actually.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I think it even goes back to the Shield and even the Yellowstone franchise. If you just like the world, you can forgive when there's a lesser season or everything. I mean, I'm even this way with Criminal Minds. Like, those shows are at their best when they just go full ape shit. Like, just let the characters explode into conflict, but don't repeat every season.
Yeah, but like but Power, the spinoffs are actually pretty good. Ghost and
It made me go back and realize, oh my god, I've seen Omari Hardwick in so many movies. I had no idea.
oh yeah, I mean, Power was his breakout role. I mean, he was acting wow.
He's still ever seen in Army of the Dead.
You ever seen him be Shot Caller?
Yes. Yep. But that, he's had some other interesting guest spots. He was on a show for 2 years on TNT called Dark Blue, which was some officers going undercover.
Yeah, that was a spinoff of the Kurt Russell Dark Blue movie, if I'm correct.
No, but it was similar.
It was based off that film, though. The show was based off the idea of the film. Did
not that I saw. It was.
I mean, what's Dark Blue? I mean,
it just had one of the lead Law and Order writers, and it was produced by Bruckheimer. But to be fair, we have done a special on all of David Ayer's movies, and I did actually like the Training Day show.
I mean, that show unfortunately didn't get off because oh, you're talking about that Dark Blue. Okay, I see what you're talking about now.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, don't get me wrong. I that's where. I mean, when we talk filmmakers and everything, I see other people who only know someone from like a recent movie they did. I'm like, guys, I've been following Ayer and Michael Mann, all these other guys all my life. And if you're getting stung up on a recent movie they did that's not too good, it's like, still go back to the ones that they did at the dawn of their career. It was like Ayer was working with Antoine Fuqua and all these cool cats. I mean, he got me into all these Serpico type movies where I'm like, Jesus, what a cool way to have neo-noir and corruption and real life issues presented.
Remember this show? I didn't really watch it, but I do remember it.
It was okay. It wasn't a must see thing, but it was big star power. I mean, Street Kings, it was another cool movie for me where I was like, wow, okay, so Ayer's utilizing Keanu and Forrest Whitaker, pretty cool.
Yeah, like, cause I like that. Keanu Reeves starts out technically as a villain in that film.
Yeah, he's a shithead, and then you're like, oh, and now he's being set up. What's going on?
But yeah, like the Power spinoffs are pretty good. Stories are actually pretty good.
Concur. Yeah.
First Ghost ends this year, and then Force
right
ends next year. But then they're doing another spinoff.
Don't you love all the throwbacks they do to New Jack City? Because Mario Van Peebles directed a few episodes.
Oh yeah, I mean it's in that area and that
same kind of premise,
Raising Kanan that takes place during that period that New Jack City happened. So
great role for Lawrence Tate.
Yeah, he. There's sometimes you see some old dog come out in his character.
You're right.
Raise his head up into that character from time to time. I'll be laughing when that character comes out.
Totally. And how cool that I thought his brother, who was acting briefly in like some B movies, had given it up, and like, nope, he's back, and they're playing brothers. Awesome.
He has two. He has that brother and another brother. Actually, that brother that's on the show with him, if I remember correct, twin, and they have another brother, but I think he produces more than acts. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, like his brother's been acting. I mean, I remember watching him in Jason's Lyric when I was a kid.
Yeah,
his brother is a cop on the show.
That's what was even more ironic. Is like
Lyric. He was also in Don't Be a Menace to South Central. I was drinking a juice in the hood.
Right in the parody. Oh man, I need to get into the family business that Ernie Hudson's in.
Yeah, I've seen an episode or two of that. That's actually not a bad show neither.
It was one of those. I think people bashed it because they saw a cheesy trailer for it. And it's like, well, the trailer's not the movie. There's plenty of movies I want to see, and sure enough, I see a cheesy TV spot. I'm like, well, that's not what it sounds like on paper.
I think because it comes on it's a BET Plus show. I think kind of like you get the idea like maybe it's kind of like some Hallmark type of show, but like it's on BET Plus. So
that's the other thing. They look at the production value or what the channel's typically known for, and I mean that's what FX and USA, they had all these hit shows, but people didn't watch them right away because they were previously known for campy, stupid material.
The USA used to be Weird Science.
Yeah, it used to be so. There's a great podcast with the cast of Psych. And they talk about when they first signed up, they're like, USA, is that the channel that airs Silk Stockings? What?
Yeah, man, hell, Silk Stockings was a successful show, though. That ran for like 3.
Right. No one's denying its success. It's just that they were known for camp, like USA Up All Night. And so it's just like, I mean, Sci-Fi Channel, they used to be pretty calm before they went into, original movies.
Well, that and wrestling, because for years,
wrestling. Oh my god, yeah.
Well, yeah.
And their VP was a total douche to fans. Like he did not want Battlestar to be successful. They just wanted it a mid-replacement show, and then it was really good.
Battlestar was a mini series first. It was like they were going to do a series, but it was so successful they had to do a television series.
Yeah, and then they see it and they're like, it's better than we actually anticipated. We thought it was just going to be stupid or cheesy like our other Canadian shows we have on. Can't lie with the Emmys.
I mean, but the guy did work on Star Trek, so he wasn't coming from just.
I had so much fun going for that. Like, have you ever seen the extended? I have the whole Blu-ray set. I'd love to give it to you one day. Like it's so much fun seeing the extended scenes of certain episodes because they just have like extra like quiet time building. We were talking all episode about psychology and everything. It's like you have some of those other just slower moments that just complement the moments that everyone remembers where everyone's exploding or doing a military coup.
Yeah, like I got to meet Edward James almost. So, like, yeah, he was fucking.
I'm so glad his cancer scare is over. I actually just rewatched. I introduced my parents to Stand and Deliver.
Yeah, like when I met him, I said, "Hey, man, that's like still
That's
like
the number one teacher movie ever.
one of my favorite things I've seen you." And he's like, "Yeah, man, I was." He said, He said it was really fun to make that. Was one of his favorites too.
He took a huge pay cut for it. It was like co-produced by PBS. You know, it's like, and I mean, you're a teacher, but there's a reason it's just a good movie. Like you just get a very, I mean, it was a real story, and then you get
you on the street, get the shit out of here.
my buddy Jeannie Acosta Strampos, who's fortunately been able to be go a step further from being extrovert to stunt woman. She's now was the extras coordinator on Bass Reeves recently, and I applauded her because she got the gig the same week her mother passed away in Odessa, Texas. I'm like, good grief, that's well, go make her happy, you know, go make her proud. But man, talk about all that trauma back to back with success. But she had a hysterical story on how one season of Fear the Walking Dead, she's doing zombie stunts, and she ends up being on an episode that's directed by Lou Diamond Phillips, and you know, Lou is just again, just like it was in the '80s, very charismatic, very laid back, just wants to be part of an ensemble, and he gets to joke with everybody. He's like, "You're gonna really enjoy dying today. It's gonna be chaotic."
Mm-hmm.
It's just set the
He was
mood.
at UTA a couple months ago.
I think so. Yeah, I saw that he was listed at some other cons the last 2 years.
Actually, he's gonna. I forget, man. He's gonna be doing a lot more at UTA. Actually, I don't want to say he's.
That's where he graduated. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he's teaching there or not, but I know he's doing a lot more with the university now.
And 2013, 14, I know there was like some presentation that was aired in like the Mac Center, so that was kind of cool to see.
He was there just recently, like in the last year. In the last year, they had something, and I think he's gonna be. Again, I can't be for sure. Look it up again, but I think
I will look forward to it if I see it. I mean, when COVID first hit, I grew an even bigger respect for him, where he did a giant like Zoom chat where he and the author who wrote the books for Longmire decided to co-host an event together, and they were answering all other kinds of questions. But they had a good, I think the reason it went so well is they had a good way of just like, you know, putting on the celeb persona and then organizing the events, getting everyone like in the mode, you know, like, hey, welcome, here's what we're going to be talking about. You know, it's like, see, that's cool, because there's so many other people who kind of just rush into it and it's like, well, hold on, you know, not ready.
Well, yeah, I'm about to look into that. I forget exactly what they said. I don't know. I don't want to say he's teaching there, but I know he's going to be doing a lot more with their UTA theater department. But I just forgot exactly what it was. But yeah, man. Like I said, I've enjoyed doing this podcast.
Always a delight, my dude. I'm so glad you're doing better.
Yeah, man. Like I said, man, I'm trying, man. I'm gonna keep going at it. I'm finish up this trying to, like I said earlier before we went on live. You know, I'm working on, you know, the White Rose Jan stuff is now a web series, so I'm working on that. To get back on the script that I was working on.
COVID outbreaks are less chaotic, and
yeah, you know, it's like again, birthday's next month, so you know, I don't want to take in the same shit that dealt with last year into that year. So let's get back on my shit.
What day is it?
Fuck, my birthday this year is gonna be on a Monday, 19th.
I can be there.
I'll be at work, man. Probably that weekend. I don't know what I'm doing for my birthday. Yeah, I still got time though.
I'll mail you some Blu-rays.
But yeah, like I said, we need to do another one soon, man. Like about 24 or Power or something like that, man.
I promise.
We do 24. Let's do season 7, man. That's like one of my favorite seasons.
Oh, we something even better. We were thinking of listening to our favorite moments or doing a saga ranking.
Yeah, man. Like definitely, but like definitely.
Because we reviewed all the seasons, but we did it in like, but we did it in like 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4, and then
Okay, yeah. Then we just go over like memorable moments, or just
well, and that's why I try to keep it that way. Because like, trust me, like there were times where it's like we wanted to be on each other's shows, but we didn't have the right time. So it was like, okay, let's talk about our favorite villains from Die Hard. Let's talk about our favorite moments on Justified. Just
let's just do one. Just over Jack in general, man. Let's do over the
yeah.
character.
The Freddy and versus Jason franchise one, I'm looking forward to the most. It's going to be just funny just seeing how people defend their team, and then there might be some other surprises. It's like, hey, I think they both have a cool part 3, part 4.
Yeah, man, but
Who
definitely
has
do
the
like,
better show? Who has the better remake?
man, that's a whole different. I've so I met
England.
well, I met him twice, but I'm talking about Rachel Talalay, who she's directing shit left and right now, but she started on the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
That's right.
Started out as a PA on the first film, and then in writing, directing, producing, like Freddy's Dead and the later films. I met her a couple years ago.
I wish
she's cool as shit. She does direct a lot of Doctor Who, Flash. She's just a really good director. In general, your stuff she's directed for television, our film. But when I met her, I asked her, what do you think about the Nightmare on Elm Street remake? She's like, it was shit. She's like, it was.
Don't meet your heroes.
Well, I mean, I agree with her though. Like, it was shit, and like she didn't, because they didn't. Like Wes Craven didn't even know about the reboot until after it was already in production.
Yeah, I hear you. It's like there's plenty of movies we like, but then we look back, it's like it didn't need to go past part 3 or whatever. It's just like
I mean, again, we could do a whole thing on Freddy. I don't know Freddy. Like Freddy is my dude, my guy when it comes to horror.
And then we got the Evil Dead as part of that verse with the Necronomicon. So.
Last year we went through every single Evil Dead film.
Yes, you did. You guys were having a lot of fun on part 2, as we expect anyone to. But it's just like,
swallow yourself. But yeah, dude, like I didn't care for that. But maybe that's a whole talk for another thing, because we'd be here another hour or 2 talking about.
I'm good.
But man, like again, I've enjoyed this. We need to do another one soon, man. Another episode. Either 24 or Power. Actually, we can do Power next, man.
Sure. We could talk about our favorite moments from that. I'll definitely try to get caught up on it even more.
On the main, or so you're still on the main show, right?
Oh no, I saw the main show back to back on Hulu, and I need to go through season 2 and 3 of book 2 and start book 4. I started book 3, but did not finish that because then I got insomnia and that fucked everything up.
Power Force, I like Tommy's story. They're all good though, but yeah, we need to do one.
They're very much like the Law and Orders. They just got Shakespearean themes. I like how they utilize New York.
I like how in Tommy's one they expand the Chicago. So that's pretty cool, different new landscape.
Oh, sweet. And they got a good sense of time and everything. I like how Ghost, he wants to keep his business as legit as he can, and yet the Serbians and all the other ones keep screwing it up for him.
I say we need to the next time we get together, we need to just do one over Power that we can do exactly because of that.
Promise. Well, and because as you've said it before, it's just like when you're seeing how these characters are ticking and it's more than just what's on the page, how it's being performed. It's like that's a good show. Like The Wire, they do a good job of showing, explaining why everyone's resorting to crime when even the people who are supposed to be monitoring this are concerned about their own so-called, power. It's like, okay,
like The Wire.
What's his name? Who Steve Johnson plays? The one crooked assistant DA guy who's
I
exploiting
forget. I know
people.
what you're talking about.
I'm just like, jeez, dude, how are you still working here? And but they had a good sense of time and everything and passing and
That same thing about half the people in government right now, state and local, state, local.
bingo, yeah. This was coming out around the time of the Cuomo incident. I'm like, Jesus. And
It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show.
that was a hell of a way to start the episode. But Elvery is back for the billionth time. And we discussed, a long time coming. We were meaning to do a favorite moments of a movie or TV show franchise. And lo and behold, it was the Ghost St. Patrick verse.
I'll be honest, because we actually talked about doing 24 best moment for so long. I originally thought this was that episode because I've been wanting to do just something 24 with you for so long.
I promise it will happen. It will happen.
I was kind of watching.
I can do the closer. I can do all kinds of.
No, the closer was decent, but that was my mom's show. That and like, what was it, Major Crimes after it, the spinoff?
Yes.
That was her shit, man. Like, if she were ever to do a podcast one day or something, she can talk your ear off about that shit.
I just thought it was wild because it was like a mix between Homicide and then they had the Police Academy captain guy on there, so it was kind of funny at times.
You know what? Like, he looks the same. Like,
he looks the same, and then they had all these.
I thought he was an older man in Police Academy, but I was a kid watching that, and I didn't realize at the time you can have
just off St. Elsewhere with Denzel.
Yeah, but I mean, but I didn't know at the time, you can naturally grade age. Like, he just graded at a very young age. Like, I'm like, oh, so I didn't know that as a kid. I thought he was old then. I was like, damn, does this dude ever age? Gain a little weight.
Some of them still have that look. Yeah.
A little weight, but he looks damn near the same. That was back in the 80s, and this is 2000 and what?
We did a special on The Shield, and that was great because we got to talk about what moment just like broke us, where the show becomes a horror show, and where it becomes a political thriller, where it becomes a heist show. So I applaud anybody who wants to mess with different elements instead of just relying on, did we get the season pickup,
yeah.
Power, I was late to. Like, I was maybe.
I love Power, man. Like,
I was 3 years in, I think, and was on Hulu already. And I was like, I got to take the binge. Our pal Ruby, she's talking about it. It must be good.
I literally watched Power the day it premiered, and I watched it the day it ended.
Man,
like it. Like, I used to watch that was during the period where Starz had a lot of shows I used to watch, like Spartacus.
They had hired one of the former VPs of HBO, so they were trying to get some of that same kind of shows like The Sopranos and Wire on their network now.
They had, I said Spartacus was brilliant. Even after Andy died, I think.
Rest in peace.
I think Liam, I met Manu Bennett at a convention a couple of years ago.
What?
And we had a discussion, and we both were on the same. I mean, you could tell, like, when Liam came in to season 2 to take over for Andy when his cancer just he went into after it came back, he had recurrence. You could see in season 2 that he was still, he's taking over a role from an actor who did a fantastic job. I mean, if Andy Whitfield hadn't died, he would be a fucking I truly believe he would be a top star right now. He was that damn good of an actor.
I could see him getting on some other big spectacle. And we talked
Yeah.
before how Starz had some bullshit when they first started, where they're like, "Oh, Ash versus Evil Dead doesn't have good ratings." You're like, "No, you just have a change in vice president."
That, but I do understand too, to a point. Um, you know, it did have a good no. The ratings weren't low because it was a bad show. You did have a lot of people illegally pirating the show. I mean, Bruce Campbell even
It couldn't have been more than Game of Thrones, though, right?
dude, that if I remember correct, at one point that was like one of the most top pirated shows. Um, as versus Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, even Bruce Campbell came out with a message saying like, guys, stop pirating the show. Like, if this show gets canceled, I'm done with the character after that.
I mean, I don't know. I look at it from a tech thing. If people are stealing it, it must be good. But at the same time, maybe the prices are just abysmal.
Yeah, but keep in mind though, I mean, it's as crazy. I mean, ratings is with streaming. Keep in mind, this is Ash vs. Evil Dead was out before it had Netflix, right? Amazon was really kind of, starting to kind of maybe pop off at the time, but it was really it was prior to Disney Plus, prior to all these
Current
other
streaming, yeah. And it was just a weird year in general for shows. Like all of them are trying to be edgy, but they're also trying to be their own thing as opposed to be accused of you're trying to be the next Breaking Bad. And so I see this show kept getting some advertisements. It had a lot of sorry, go ahead.
Think about it, like the early 2000s, man. I mean, it said well, technically we still are in a golden era of television writing for the most part. But think about it, man. The early 2000s and the late 90s, early 2000s really set the tone. Like Oz on HBO.
Yes. I feel like many shows do a homage to it or exist partially because of that whole like have an ensemble.
For The Wire, Oz was there. I was like Oz, and then like I was watching that show as a kid when damn well no, I shouldn't have been watching that show. But
Many of us, yeah, we're watching stuff we shouldn't have back then. But I feel like Oz and even The Shield opened up the whole have an ensemble of characters, and by the end of it, you're gonna realize why they're so messed up.
Yeah, my mom was a fan of The Shield before I even got into it, man. Like,
nice.
When I was little, me and her used to watch in the early '90s when Chicklets was doing the commish.
Oh, nice.
Commish.
So you saw him back when he was a good cop.
we would watch that show together religiously when I was little. We lived in New Jersey. That's the first time I ever saw Michael Chiklis. So, but yeah, that is the great
doing horrific things.
Yeah, the Mist was like his little breakout thing back in the '90s, playing this good, wholesome kind of type cop dude. Then The Shield, dirty ass Vic Mackey, man, fucking that brings his career back. I don't want to say bring his career back. I hate saying that to actors. It adds a new chapter to his
made
career.
him relevant, and it made him show.
Had a new chapter to his career. I mean, around that time he had The Shield. He was the thing. I mean, even though maybe people don't look too fondly on the Fantastic Four films of that era, but those were big movies for that period.
And he found a way to be part of an ensemble as opposed to always ask, "Could I be the main guy?" And
and so, but like going back to what I was saying, The Shield, you had Oz, you had Sopranos, The Wire, The Shield. The Shield showed you that you could do a very TVMA dark type drama on basic
mature audience. Yep.
Yeah, while these other shows were, HBO.
We had other shows being edgy, but they were getting in.
Yeah,
but they would do everything would play after 10 o'clock just so they wouldn't be sued by the FCC, like X-Files and NYPD Blue. So.
Yeah, but like The Shield was just because it's literally a show from the protagonist is the antagonist. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like you're seeing Vic Mac, I don't know if he really, maybe he's an anti-hero. I don't know if you really call him an
I
anti-hero.
knew he was a villain from day one, but I just
Yeah.
figured like he's like many of the. Go ahead.
Oh, he's an antagonist pretending to be a protagonist. He really, and those are the best
Well, like
characters.
Walter White, yeah, who was actually inspired by him. It's just, yeah, he lies to himself enough times, he starts believing it.
Yeah, and those make the best villains. They actually believe their shit.
Yeah, as opposed to Tony, who does care about his family, but he's just also a shithead after killing people all day. So, yeah, it's just.
Household he came from, and his parents were. I mean, with the Saints, the film, the prequel film, wasn't that good.
Oh, it was awful. Here's the one thing: here's what Power did well, but The Sopranos prequel film did bad. Like, Power sets up is like already. I think it's a good pilot because it like shows us, okay, he's
you know who his characters are.
You know that, and he's got a technically legit lifestyle. He's got a club that's had some problems. He's left most of his hood life behind, but every once in a while he has to do business with colorful people who, have like crime underworld connections. But most of them Serbian or part of.
In the beginning, most of the people he fucked with were in the first season in particular, in the beginning, you meet the locals, right? You meet
Right.
his crew, the other crews, and as things expand, you start meeting. You have the Serbians, you got the fucking
Yeah, the Russians are also got a cannibal henchman. Yeah, and
Columbia with is right.
Unlike Ray Donovan, which kind of becomes a guy's fantasy after a while, where you're like, "Oh, good grief, dude, get over yourself." But like with Power, I like how they just throw it all out front and center. They're like, and by the way, some of these prosecutors are career minded, and they're going to break the law just to further their so-called power. He's got an unfaithful wife, and that's okay because he's technically in love with his high school sweetheart, who's also ADA. So yeah, yeah.
I mean, like thinking about Power, right? With Ghost, or Jamie or James.
St. Patrick. Yeah, I love him too. He's just very charismatic. I like how doesn't even rely on narration for the most part. He's just like, oh, what am I gotten myself into today? He just walks in and gets his suit ready.
Really good with subtext and just
the camera loves him.
Yeah, and he's good.
The
with
camera absolutely loves him.
He knows how to play. He knows the character. What he did with that character, and we had this discussion during Alter Carbon when we did.
Yep.
He didn't necessarily get it. You can go see his interviews of late. He loved the role, he loved the character, but he still felt like he didn't get all the due respect from certain people, behind the scenes, because that was according to that show, like according to his interview, and you can look this stuff up, like Starz had two or three, two shows they had, and they took a chance on Power.
They weren't really known for it, other than occasional stuff like fantasy and mockumentary shows and documentaries. Yeah, it was.
But I don't know what the show was. He didn't say, but they said there was another show that kind of was like maybe like I guess with the casting and the story.
I'd seen Magic City and Da Vinci's, but pretty much Spartacus was what really started it, and this was like the second one.
Spartacus was what really started their started Starz. Is it was their first big thing, and again you had what was it, Sean the Knight, who was it Sean as Knight, who was the producer, showrunner of that. He has from remember if it's the right Knight I'm thinking of.
I don't know actually. I know about Courtney Kemp on Power, and she was basically the showrunner, and
she did a damn good job.
Was the money man. He brought in some of his guys at Lionsgate, but then CBS stepped in to co-produce some of the spin-offs slash prequels. I'm like, okay, this is intense. This is
Yeah, and like you said, like they had another show.
Spin-offs don't just happen, unless people really love the vision.
Go, but they took that risk on Power instead, and
It was the highest viewed show since The Wire. I'm like, in the black demographic, I'm like, see, that's saying something, but I think it just reminds me very much of like kind of why Suits and Yellowstone were kind of big spectacles, even Ozark. They're all very comfortable with their crime drama, but they're also trying to, instead of just trying to emulate what else was cool 5 years ago, they're all like, it just gets into the nuts and bolts. It's like, here's what's happening.
Sharks, man, like that's like that's like the Rockefellers type thing, you're seeing this crime and this those like political heads type fun people like that. You're seeing it, criminal life and the shit from that point of view of rural
Right,
right.
but this is in New York as opposed to Baltimore. So I mean, like, I didn't know how they were going to go about it.
Like, everything before you really get back into Power, like going back to like what kind of created like this era of these type of stories. Everything goes back to like I said, Oz. For me, people don't really talk about Oz as much as they should.
I don't know why either. I'm like, it's like they stop at great acting. I'm like, it's more than just great acting.
Yeah,
it's just like all those themes, all those.
Oz.
For me, Oz is basically Tales from the Crypt 2.0. You have this anthology of different people who, except they interact and they're recurring, but you just get all these tragic flashbacks just to find out why they're so messed up.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, and that I love, again, like Oz, Sopranos, and The Wire are, those three shows. I mean, in that
The Wire, I mean, The Shield kind of got in the whole brisk energy while also showing how criminals get an ego and it just all goes downhill from there. Like one false move. The Wire kind of introduced me to the whole the cake is a lie. Like here's what's wrong with this education system. Here's what's wrong with this police enforcement. And here's what's causing all these turf wars that are in drug trade. You're just like,
you can break it down like this, right? Like, take a look. The Wire is about, all that stuff you just said, while Oz basically is kind of the show that shows you the ramifications and the aftermath of the things about on the outside. You see what happens when that shit happens and people go inside and
there's so much revenge, and you understand why they want revenge because it's just.
You have to understand too, like prison is not just a place where people.
It's
just
a danger to everyone.
But no, like it is a society. Prison, when you're in a maximum, security prison or any type of, big type, well, even county fucking jail. It is a society within society. It has its own rules, its own laws that you have to abide by, or you're gonna get fucked over.
Even though they don't make any sense half the time, you're just like, what?
It's not about to us on the outside and in our everyday life and society. No, these rules don't make sense. Like I'm gonna take a real life, take motorcycle clubs, right? Outlaw motorcycle clubs, and we gotta do episode on Southern Aggie. That's my shit too. But
yes.
But people always ask, why like the Hell's Angels, like mostly only white people, are only white people. Why are these motorcycle clubs segregated like that? It's nothing to do with MC culture on the outside. It all comes from when they got locked up and went to prison. Like all that shit inside. Again, it's a whole nother society with different rules, how to live and survive. So yeah, it's on the outside. It looks completely stupid at times, but that's how you get through, how you survive. And sometimes you're in that society mixing with these people for so long, going living by these rules. When you come outside,
brainwashed a certain way.
There's a reason why recidivism rates are so high.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly for people who've been in jail for a long time. They've been there for so long, learning these rules. It's like we're Americans. We moved to another country with different laws and all that stuff. We have to learn and assimilate to their culture and their laws. It's not always easy. Same thing when you come out of prison. You got to assimilate back into society, and your brain, again, brainwashed, or you've been locked up for so long. You going through all this shit. It's hard. So sometimes people do shit to go back to jail because they can't survive out in the real.
Yeah.
Going back to Oz and stuff, shows like that, Oz shows you like once you're taken out of society, and thrown into prison, it's completely different. Let's go back to Power. Remember when James got locked up in season 5? He's a whole different.
Yeah. At the end of season 4, and then up with 5, and you're like, how's he gonna get out? Yeah.
Part of season 5, he was in jail. Then Teresi, that helped him get out. Then was just trying to fucking snitch on him. But when you see James in prison, man, he's a character who's always in control, right? He's always making moves, always thinking 2 steps forward.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, when he's in jail, think about that phone call when he calls Tommy up, man. He's fucking he's distraught and he's not in his element, right? He's got Charlie Murphy, God rest his soul, his last final
He
role.
was great as one of the prison guards. I loved how it was more than just let's get whoever's a New York actor who's in everything. Let's get more than just some other comedians and rap stars. It was a great cast of unknowns mixed in with semi-knowns. Like you had Tommy's dad being played by Bill Sadler, who's a good actor.
I love him since I was a little fucking kid, man. I love Bill.
Nice. He's been in everything. But I mean, just that it had an interesting set of animosity.
No matter what, he'll always be deaf to me from Bill and Ted. But yeah, dude, like, I mean, and again, that whole arc in the first part of season 5 showcases just what I just talked about with Oz, or just with prison life in general. You showcasing you're in a new society, different rules.
Mm-hmm.
Survive. Sometimes, a lot of people, when people go to jail, like when they join prison gangs, they don't do it because they want to. They do it because if I don't, I'm most likely going to get killed. Or turn.
It really is do or die.
Yeah, exactly. I've met people in real life who were like in prison, like Aryan Brotherhood type stuff in jail. But when they get out, I ain't with that shit, man. I did that shit to live because, motherfuckers kill you in there or fuck you over.
It's like having a gun to your head, but
exactly. And
now you have to use that gun to shoot someone. You can't fight them back. Like they got you in a stalemate.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying it's right, but that's just the way it is, man. If you're trying to get out of there and get back home,
if fear is used, especially that early on, you're always looking over your shoulder.
Exactly. So, I mean, do you want to do your time and get out of there and get back to your, people you care for, get back to your actual real life, or do you, you want to get killed or fucked over or killed in here? I condone it, but that's just the way it is, and that's what, again, you see that in Power in that 5th season with Ghost in jail for that bit on that murder charge, and you're seeing how he's interacting with different people in the prison. You see he's very quiet, very reserved to himself because he's never been in that situation. That's the first time he totally, truly lost control of everything.
That's what's really cool too. That I'm glad you opened up with that moment because like that just showed how the show was not going to play it safe. It wasn't just going to be, for season 1, he's smarter than the average bear.
Yeah, I mean, like
Tommy helps out. Boom, cool. But
and it's just a great character trajectory. You again, season 1, you know who he is, you know what he's about. You see
he legit loves his kids, but they're becoming targets, and that's not cool. And that sets him off on a darker path. Tommy, unfortunately, is being hunted by his ex-girlfriend, who's the ADA. So you're just like, uh-oh, Isn't that something's going to conflict? Someone's going to step on another person's toes here.
Now, Tommy's my favorite character in the Power Universe, though, man. I love fucking Tommy, man. Like, that is.
Oh, that's what's wild too. Is like they both did unforgivable things to each other, and then you're like, but at the same time, they're still friends at the end of the day, and you're like, that.
I mean, yeah. After he kills, what's her name?
Angela. I'm like, no.
You know, like,
and what a way to end a season. Just that, looking at how he looks towards the camera, and you're like,
too, like the scream is like you get like that's the scream of pain and rage.
And he had just told her another lie, saying, "By the way, I'm not involved in crime." But then he takes the shot, and you're like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah, like that bullet was meant for him. She literally gave her life for him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was
aiming for him, and she hadn't moved him out the way. Ghost would have got killed right then and there. She literally died for him, and like when he's going to war with Tommy, beginning of that next season, he it's funny with those two. Like even after he killed Angela,
they know each other's moves just because that's what happens when you're childhood friends. You know each other too well.
I'm thinking about the scene where he creeps in, like he's in Tommy's apartment, his loft apartment, and Tommy comes home. He's looking around for everything, and ghosts come out of nowhere. They start beating the shit out of each other. And then Tommy's like, that's when it's revealed that Tommy knows that that Ghost lied about Teresi. Well, he didn't really lie about Teresi. But he manipulated Tommy to do it. Yeah, he lied about him, who he was snitching on. Yeah, he was. He was a rat, and you can't trust a fucking rat. Period. But he wasn't ratting on him. He was ratting on. He wasn't ratting on.
Teresi, for those who don't know, is Bill Sadler, Tommy's dad. And I'm glad they introduced that, because we kept hearing about him, or like, I wonder how he got to this place. Like,
if you look at from day one when we meet Tommy's mother, you automatically see why this guy is fucked up.
Mercedes role, yeah.
Yeah, and she does a great job playing his mom's. Like, you meet his moms, dude, from the get-go why this dude is fucked up. Like, she loves Ghost more than she loves Ghost more than she loves Tommy. But when you go to skip forward to the future, the Forrest Tommy show, finding out that she actually had a mixed son that was black but gave it away, you can kind of understand why she loved Ghost more. It's like she was kind of making up in her own fucked up, drug addled way of giving away her black son by loving on Ghost.
That's true too, and I think that's why I took off with this really.
Once they revealed that on Force, that he has a brother that's black, and she gave him up because her parents were racist and shit. And
I'm looking forward to this. Then I still gotta see this. Look for you.
I was like, oh, that explains her doting on Ghost so much over Tommy. Tommy said that you love that Ghost more than me.
You're the son I want.
Yeah. She basically said what she thought when Ghost dies, she thinks that Tommy killed him. She's like, she basically disowns him and basically says, you killed him, like he was a better son than you to a degree. It was like, so again, like, I just love that. Like, they never actually said that on the show, but I mean, if you put two and two together, and we're both film people, so we actually, look at film the same way as other people. Man, they literally taught us. Remember, that's one of the first things they teach you in film class. You will never look at films the same way after you become a film student. It's just
no.
You can't.
Well, and
you analyze film more than you enjoy it to a degree.
Which is fine. All I ask is that everybody just have some patience with each other. Is like, okay, I don't like that kind of movie, but I'm glad you love it. Don't ruin it for him. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, we are going to see just a few things that is like, okay, I've seen too many movies, so I just know what's going to happen in the next 5 5 minutes.
Like Terrence, man. I love being my friend Terrence. I work with on a film project. He loves horror like me, but he hates comedies. Like I've been like most of the stuff I've written lately, besides the web series I'm working on. I've been writing comedies. You know, I've written like two comedies for like this collab group I'm part of, and then after this Janice stuff is over, I've had this comedy stuff I've been want to work on forever. I just got to finish the Janice stuff first.
If you're this passionate about it, you're already on the right path, you know?
I call it like the Three Stooges meets Shameless. That's how I describe it.
Nice.
So I'm eager to get on that, and I kind of have a knack for comedy. Just the reception from my stories so far. But I mean, I just like to write in general. Comedy,
Nice.
art. I just love to write. But yeah, you know, he hates comedies, dude. Like did you see Wolverine and Deadpool?
Not yet.
Loved it. It's hilarious. He didn't like it, but that's not his brand of comedy. But you know, that's just, you know, like you were saying, you know, filmmakers, you know, but people in general. Some people just don't. My mom, grew up loving Jim Carrey. Well, my mom's best friend at the time when I was a kid, she hated Jim Carrey with a passion. I did. I just fucking hate the guy. You know, Tom Jones, he hated Jim Carrey on set of Batman.
I remember hearing that story. I'm like, what?
It's Jim Carrey, dude. He just didn't get him in his comedy. He fucking hated
find with certain filmmakers, based on how you're introduced to them, kind of determines whether you find them overrated or not. But at the same time, it's like you should still see like far more by them. Actors are another tricky bunch. With genres, I think the other issue is those change so much that half the time people don't realize, well, you actually do like horror. Well, you have seen a few action movies you did actually like, you know. It's
horror, right? I mean, every genre has subgenre. You have horror, you have slasher horror, like
mystery. It's like
you have, you know, supernatural. You have
home invasions. It's like
invasion stuff. You know, comedy. You have your sophomore comedy. You have your kid comedy. You have your adult type.
There's
comedy.
funny moments that kind of make a movie better, even if it's not a straight on comedy. There might be a dark comedy element to it.
Yeah, dark comedy. Another is a subgenre of comedy. Even in genres have genres. I mean, so it's like for me, like I love the Saw films. They're great storytelling.
I think that's a good example. I'm not a torture porn guy, but I am a horror guy. But that's cool.
I love Saw, but The Terrifier, I can't stand those films because it's great practical effects that they do. It's all old school practical. I love, but there's no fucking true story with these films. It's just, and the director has said he doesn't write films based on story. He writes them based on scenes.
Okay, so that feels hackneyed. Yeah.
So
I'm this way with action. People think, oh, Cam, you like action, therefore you like car chases. I'm like, I actually can't stand car chases because you take them out, very little changes unless you made it part of the scene.
I mean, Speed is the perfect example.
That is the perfect one. The Die Hard movies, Terminator, even 24. Power has some legit good car chases because like they're needed. Like you need it to get to the next stage.
Maybe the night that Ghost gets killed, I love the scene when Tommy's almost there. If he got hemmed up by those fucking the Italians.
Oh, is this in book 4? Or
this is in the last season of Power when they're all converging on the club when Ghost gets killed and you're trying to on Tommy's version of that story, trying to figure out who shot Ghost. Remember when he's almost there to the club? If he hadn't got stopped by the fucking Italians, he would have got there before what's his name? You know, shot his dad.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. And
I love that scene though because in that scene, like they got him blocked off in the street. He pops the fucking trunk, puts the car in neutral, lets it just creep down. He's using the car as a shield while he's got his assault rifles popping motherfuckers as he goes along. Like I just love shot. Like he's basically they got him pinned down. But Tommy's gonna be Tommy. You gonna have to straight up put a bullet in him to stop
They're
him from.
all soldiers. Yeah, and I was fortunate enough to talk to Tondalea Jackson on the last Power Chat, and she knew some people had worked on it and confirmed that yeah, Tommy's gone for good, but that's why they did the prequel spinoff. But I talked to Craig Lindbergh, who actually used to do makeup on B movies, and then once he got on bigger productions like War of the Worlds and I Am Legend, he was able to do a lot of makeup on all kinds of shows, Walking Dead, SNL, and Power Book 2 was one of them. He hadn't seen any of the episodes, and I was just saying, hey, there's some legit good makeup on this show. But yeah, the way Tommy is just so stealthy is great, but Ghost is also great. Really.
Well, Ghost becomes a stealth. I mean, he's called Ghost for a reason.
Yeah, no one. I mean, the way he kills Terry, he's just like, okay, I don't love my wife anymore, but I do care about her well-being, and I am not going to have one of my right-hand guys, sleeping with her. Not cool. That's not loyal to me. And so it's just so wild how he's able to convincingly lie too. I think that's the other thing. And once again, I'm not condoning anything, but this is a pulp story tell. So you instantly understand. It's like, yeah, if I was in his shoes, I'd probably lie too.
Considered the best lies, right? Lies that are mixed with a bit of the truth.
Right. Because if I say yes, then I'm going to jail, and my kids will be picked on in school because they'll be like, hey, didn't your dad get prosecuted and sent to prison? I don't want that. And plus, again, if you respect me, you're not going to cheat on someone I'm married to. I get to decide when that happens. But they kept it. I was so angry that Ghost got killed, and then they still kept us in suspense. It's like, okay, we know he died, but how? It's like,
yeah, I mean,
okay.
used the whole, who shot JR type thing.
It is a Dallas thing.
Anytime you do that fucking story type of storytelling.
No, I know what you mean. I mean, that's what Yellowstone's doing. Who's gonna take over his ranch and try and kick him out? And now he's governor. So what are you gonna do?
Television, cinema history. Anytime that type of storytelling told on a show or a film, somebody was a fan of Dallas, because Dallas. I don't know if Dallas did it first, but they did the best because
they popularized it probably. But I mean, it was either that or St. Elsewhere, where it's all in his head.
I don't remember if that season was done before I was born, when I was a baby. But I mean, even I know, man, that was like one of the most.
Everyone was talking about it.
One of the most things during that year when that episode happened. Who shot JR? I mean, The Simpsons fucking did it in the 80s.
That's right.
That was a big fucking thing in the 90s. I remember being a kid. That was like, who shot Mr. Burns? Like, that was a big thing.
How many times has Cancer Man supposedly died, but he's actually alive? I don't. Yeah, it's
another fucking story of itself, man. Bowler finally killed his ass in that final.
Right. Is Picard gonna become a Borg? Nope, he's good. We can't kill our captain.
Yeah, but I know at the moment they did that, they were doing that for the latter half. Like, okay, I guess Kemp is a Dallas fan, but they did it good though.
Right. Before everyone was trying to just copy each other, and it's like, come on, you don't have this in the bag. It's not happening.
I still don't like the character I hate the most on that show was Tyreek. I mean, this because this kid. And I'm on book 2. I mean, the final episode's premieres. I think next month.
I came to like him in the book too, but I could understand why everyone was hesitant at first, because you're like, yeah, that little shit.
Too. I guess is why I finally sat down and watched it. And
it's more of a legal thriller than it is.
Yeah, you have characters on this show that are even more shadier to a degree than Tyreek. What I don't like about Tyreek is like this kid, and that's the point of his story. He's a kid who didn't have to do this shit but wanted it, and now you see in Power Book 2. I mean, he's really not. Yeah, he's smart. He's capable. I mean,
I think they just introduced him in an awkward way. And to be fair, if I was depressed and kind of the son of gangster and realizing my parents don't really love each other, I guess I would be distrustful. But yeah, we didn't think at first, you want to focus on him. He's not too interesting when it's just him.
My thing is this, right, with Tyreek's character, right? This is coming from like real life stuff too. People, things I experience, people I know, where people where I come from, different things like that. Anybody, I mean, they didn't. We even talked about this on Altered Carbon episode. These motherfuckers didn't have and they even said on the show, he didn't have a fucking front door. He had a fucking elevator to his house.
Yeah, it's kind of like feeling sorry for a celeb who is like, but you got the world, you're okay.
Yeah, you got a fucking elevator to your fucking house that opens up to your house. You want for nothing. You want for fucking nothing. Yet you want to be in the street looking over your shoulder every day of your life. You can look at Power Book 2, you really see how he's fucked up. In my opinion, he's fucked up more than he's succeeded on the show. If you can look at where he's at now on Book 2, his mom's is gone. His sister his younger sister is gone.
I'm catching up soon, but yeah, the sister dying in the main series really was like, oh
they
man.
They have a younger sister. What I mean is like, they're separated from each other. He basically, and he's separate. He has
Braden's his friend, and he's troubled and stupid. So you're like, oh,
he uses people. You know what I mean? Ghosts use people, but I don't know. Ghosts.
It's almost like they're trying to make him a Godfather thing, where I like my dad, but I don't want to become him, but yet I'm becoming like him. But then they just started off with, this time I don't like dad.
I'm sorry, he's no Michael Corleone though. Like, yeah,
no, I'm not. I'm just. The difference is he never had any respect for his dad. That's the other thing. He's like, fuck you, dad, cheating on mom. So,
I get that, that's your mom's, I mean, but I don't like people shit on Ghost sometimes. You like, well, dude,
I love Ghost.
You want to stay in a relationship with somebody who wants you, like when he asked you, what do you see me? I see you as the biggest drug dealer in the city. Like you see me as one thing that's just dude in the street. I want to do more. I want to be more. I don't want to be looking on my shoulder no more. But
that's why I think he was so likable. He didn't ask. He left, or better yet, crime found him, even though he had kind of left it. That's just how he. I mean, the theme song alone says, "I got to get to where I got to get." So you already know he's.
Yeah, we find out through Angela, and the few times he does go back home to his past, we find out he is of course we know from the beginning he's smart. He's a smart guy,
Mm-hmm.
and he, gone to this college. I think he actually got the scholarship. He could have gone to this college, got this.
He could have, if he had kept screwing up, I would have been like, this isn't all that interesting, but. He's trying to get it together.
In a sense, he was trying to make up also for, he had an opportunity to take a different path and he didn't. And now he's at the point now, like, well, fuck, I've done all this, but I don't want to keep doing this shit. And he's like, I want to go back to that path I kind of originally could have took. I'm in a better position financially.
This is my cover, but in the day, I'm going to get my hands dirty.
But being on that path you're on and you've been on, you got all this crazy baggage trying to get back to that path where there's none of that over your shoulder no more. That's the whole point of the show is really him trying to get rid of his baggage. And
yes.
Where he fucked up at Ghost. Where he fucked up at was in the end when he was getting.
He could have easily said, "Hey, Dad, I want to join the family business." That's what I could say.
With him, going back to that final season, that first half of season 6, right? Ghost, the moments that Ghost fucks up is when he's about to become lieutenant governor. He's got the club, he's got everything he wanted. Angela's dead, but he's got everything else he wanted now. Remember, there's that one episode where he's just talking down to everybody. He's talking down to fucking Tasha. He's talking down to fucking Dre. He's talking.
And Tasha's another one who just keeps going back and forth. One minute I hate her, the next minute, oh, I see what she's trying to do. She's trying to keep her family safe, but yeah, she's
I get that to a degree, but she also did shit to put them in more danger. I mean, like,
yeah.
He's the one who really put Tariq out there to fucking, like, you're like your father. You teach him how to, do the game and shit. I'm like, why the fuck you see where he's going?
Yeah, she's a bitch. I would have liked it better had Angela said, you know what? I can't be a prosecutor anymore. I'm going to join Ghost.
Yeah, but again, like, everybody on that show in Power Universe, legal or not, that's why there's no black and white. There are gray areas. I mean,
that awful Simon Stern guy who keeps trying to steal the club and he's got like weird kinky parties and you're like, please go away. You're not going to buy this place back. We will find every legal fender bender because you're really dumb.
Rest of the spinoffs, man, like that dude is still there, man.
He is a cockroach. I loved how this was a great comeback role for Lawrence Tate as Councilman Tate. See what they did there, and
yeah, that O-Dog.
O-Dog, yeah, this is where it gets menaced to society, dead presidents, but much like dead presidents.
There are some moments on that show, man, where you see like he brings like that O-Dog out in that character,
especially when he is one of his speeches. He's like, "You don't talk to me that way." But I love it. It's like he has the perfect background. He uses the propaganda because he's a former cop, so he's able to get
plays the cop shoot with him too. So
yeah, his actual brother is playing his brother, and he's a cop, and I love that. Like that is the only time his brother looks the other way. Is like, you're in trouble. Let me get the shovel. And in that final episode, I was darkly laughing. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah, like so you watched Power Book 2, right?
The first season. I swear I will catch up. But I loved how the bad guys on that were all part of the college, and you're like, my God.
Okay, so I'm not gonna give you any spoilers. Like, remember Sachs, right? The attorney, the other assistant attorney, district attorney.
Yes, yeah, that awful Cooper. Yeah. Oh yeah. Man. Scum of the earth. Scum of the earth. Yeah.
I hated his character so much. Like when Ghost and Tommy had him with that plastic bag, I was so pissed off they didn't kill him. I will say this. I'm not going to give you, you haven't seen, you ain't caught up yet. I actually started to kind of like Sachs, and I actually, again, this is good storytelling.
Now you see the coin flip, you find out.
Like you see a different,
I love to hate him. I'll put it that way because I just.
But in Power, how they progressed his character. I started to like him for a bit. He had some moments where, like, okay, he's not a complete asshole.
It's kind of like a disgraced cop coming from a crappy division. Now he's at a better division, so he's going to behave. But at the same time, like with this guy, like.
Yeah, I can't give you any spoilers because you haven't caught up yet. But like again, I mean.
I just hated how he treated Angela growing up, and he's like, dude, you haven't even earned your keep here, and your boss was part of the Lobos gang, so shut up.
I'm saying, like, he actually did some things with his character in book 2 that, it gives you a different layer to Sachs. Again, that's what I love about shows like
this. He
this.
seemed legit at first when he wanted to avenge his colleague Greg, but then you're finding out, like, just like all the other politicians, nah, he just wants a statue made in his honor. He doesn't actually care.
Well, I again, you need to catch up.
No, I know that's fine. I'm just, I like you're saying, this is good storytelling if we're flipping constantly on someone's morality and whether we like him or hate him.
Yeah, like, again, once you catch up, you'll see that maybe he's
shitty, but not all bad. I don't know.
I'm not gonna spoil it, but you do get a sense with his character arc that no, he actually does care. But he's just, but he's also
played the dirty game so long. All he knows is how to exploit people in order to get a win in this.
In those kind of positions, though, man, it's particularly these federal, district attorneys and stuff like that. Is part of its job doing their duty. Part of it is their career advancement. And uh, it's when those lines get blurred of what's more important to you, whether again, going back to what I just previously said, what's great about shows like this, there's no black and white. They're gray
Yeah.
area.
If you anyone who says this is easy, yeah, you haven't even watched an episode. May I just say, scene stiller, I don't think it's talked about enough, is DEA agent Rodriguez, played by Monica Gabriella Kuman, who you might know from Fast and Furious, Dark Knight, and Lie to Me.
Yeah.
I thought this was a good comeback role for her. She's like, okay, so she's in another law enforcement role, but the difference here is,
I'm gonna be honest, still like, because her hairstyle, because she's old, but it's older, and her hairstyle is so different. I knew that actor.
It's not Vanessa Ferlito, but it's some other, mixed.
Yeah, I know. But she's on Power Book 2.
Yes.
And but no, because she's older and her hairstyle is different on the show, I didn't recognize her at first, who she is as the actor. Now that you said it, it's clicked. Like, oh,
she's been in some Soderbergh movies, but yeah, she's kind of one of those. If you don't know her, you have to. She changes her hair up enough.
Well, in majority of her earlier films, her hair has always been straight and long. On Power, it's more curly, up more, and she's older. And I knew her. I didn't click on what stuff I'd seen her in before.
I mean, just hats off though. Like I instead of being like, I'm not saying the DEA is always 100%, but I just like how she's like everyone she meets, she's just like, go fuck yourself. Like, you're not doing your job. And then it's like, she doesn't trust half of what's being told. She's like, there's a rat in my office. I know it.
One of the few characters that actually has not crossed the line on anything on the show.
Yeah.
One of the very few characters that has not.
She's one of those, like, she doesn't take shit from the office, and I like how she keeps going up to Sax going, why the fuck are you still here? You're a shithead. Get out.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, when you get cut up with Power Book 2, like, if Sax art does, they do cross path, you're gonna see Sax in a slightly different
She does
way,
become a hypocrite briefly. Like, she suspends him for misconduct, even though she kind of she later does the same thing that he's suspended for. So it's just funny how everyone's doing a do as I say, not as I do, but there's just so much raw emotion going on in the scene. You're like, I want to know more about him, how they got to this crappy powerful position.
Like I said, she's literally one of the few characters on that show that has not broken her principles morally.
Right. She hasn't gotten to the point where it's like, fuck it, I'm going to get a gun and plant it.
That is continued through book 2 when her character comes back.
That's what I liked about book 2. I think is like, okay, so I don't like Tariq, but all the other people there, Mary J. Blige is.
I still don't like that motherfucker. I was.
No, I don't like him, but I liked how it was still part of the universe. So to me, it was kind of like.
I will admit, like, I at first when they announced the spinoffs, I was like, you guys are just fucking milking this shit now. I think Raising Kanan is the best one out of all of them. That's the best spinoff.
I didn't think it needed to be free books. They could have just literally said, Power Season 7, kind of like they did with Bosch Legacy, and you're like, it's just Bosch Season 7. Just call it that. But I digress. It's just like they're all part of the same timeline.
You know what to do that, right? Though if it would have been Season 7, continuing on the existing show, that's more money that the studio has to give out to cast and crew.
True. Someone would have bitched and said, now you're out of ideas, blah, blah, blah.
New show, new contracts. One, you get to pay them less.
Yeah, right. Well, and how they introduced Mary J. Blige's character was awesome. I like how we're like...
on the show.
Well, and she had done acting in here and there. Like, she did the one... What was the movie with Angela Bassett where they played Rosa Parks and her other fellow friend?
I don't remember that.
It was a good movie.
But she plays that character really well.
Betty and Coretta. Okay, but
So like again, going back to
Mudbound, yeah.
I'm not gonna give you any spoilers because you're not caught up yet, but there's scenes with her character that are like there's a scene, I'm just gonna call it a dream sequence. I'm not gonna tell you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna tell you the what causes the dream sequence. It's pretty fucked up. But in the scene with the two other actors in the scene, it's a really powerful scene. You need to get caught up. When you get caught up, we'll talk about it.
I promise. But just when they first introduced her in those first few episodes of book 2, I was like, okay, awesome. So like Kanan is the bully who's just kind of leave me alone, otherwise I'll, beat you up. I liked how, in essence, she's like the grandma or aunt who,
Kane, her son, Kane.
No, I'm talking about Mary J. Blige, Monet, but I'm saying in contrast to Kanan.
Like, I thought you were talking about. I got confused.
I'm getting somewhere. I promise. So, like, Kanan is basically the bigger asshole on the block just because he's surrounded by assholes. Monet, I just like how she's like, you need a favor? I'm gonna, literally embarrass this asshole who's a big, powerful gangster at this whole party. I'm gonna dehumanize him just so he doesn't mess with the rest of us the rest of the year. This is the warning.
So once you need to watch Raising Kanan too. Once you watch Raising Kanan, you completely understand why 50.
I still need to catch up on that one and book 4. But like, what was cool about book 3 is like, I wasn't keen on like I am with many prequels or spinoffs. I'm never keen on having a younger person just because I'm imagining the terror of an actor having to match up their persona with the previous persona. But it's like, okay, cool. So he's 50's narrating.
Let me interject real quick though. I get that, but at the same time, he was on the show with Omari, right? So he had 6 years to learn and be under this or work with this older, greatly talented actor. So there's with that chemistry now, they establish a relationship with the characters and the actors themselves. That makes it easier for to do a spinoff with that character because.
Oh yeah, I wanted to see more of them. I just wasn't sure if they were going to be able to pull it off with.
Yeah, I wasn't like I said, I wasn't keen on it because I just don't like the character. But that is also a testament of how well.
I want to see why they're fucked up. I mean, look at Breaking Bad. I fucking hate Hank the entire time, and then that last season, you're like, oh, now I see why he's been a douchebag all this whole time.
and he's actually the hero. I mean,
he just had nothing to do. He's unhappily married. The differences between Walter is it doesn't help that his partners he's making the same stupid jokes with that don't do so well when it's time to come home for Thanksgiving. So I mean I think that's the other thing too. Like Mystery Science Theater has a funny recurring joke, which this person's a danger to themselves and others. And I think that's very much the case with a lot of these kingpins. And I mean, Kanan is just awesome just because he's got the sister who's the crooked cop and
jukebox.
Yeah, jukebox. Yeah, and she helps him out with his shit, stitched him back up, almost.
Yeah, to watch because when Juicebox's younger characters on there, like when you see her character on that show, she is
very well done. Yeah,
nothing like becomes on Power, but like it's. Again, like when you watch Raising Kanan, like seeing just what those two grew up in and went through, you understand.
And great casting by his mom, Patina Miller, who I've had a crush on since Madam Secretary.
Nice. You understand.
She socks him, like she gives him that. I forget what she gives him. She's like, "Here's the rocks in a thing. The bullies will never see it coming." And the bullies are like, "Don't take my lunch money, bro." It's just like, I don't want your lunch money. I want you to leave me the fuck alone.
We'll return after these messages.
If you like small-town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast wrecks and booty debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
The Jacked Up Review Show podcast is honored to be part of the Blind Knowledge Podcast Network. Join anytime, talk the talk, and enjoy yourselves. There's something enlightening for everyone with this crowd of cool cats. Check them out.
I'm taking no shorts, I'm hating the courts, I'm hating the judges, punk DAs with the personal grudges. I hate the clubs that think with their butts. No hats, jeans, sneakers, no what, no beavers, no gold. Yo, kiss my ass. We'll wait and see who gets the last laugh. We'll have the power. We'll have the power. It starts with P like pussy. She knows she got it, she doesn't work, does she? Spending your cash, leaving you in the trash. While your little head's thinking they gone in a dash. They got it, know it, that's why they show it. The power of sex. If man could overthrow it, he'd be king in a day. No way, we get rich, hard, give it away. We're weak, and as we speak, the girls are hawking, sizing me up straight out as I'm talking. You gotta have control if you want the goal. I don't wanna be alone like Stallone, so I keep my mind thinking about the green and stop dwelling on the in-between. I got power.
I thought Tasha really knew intrinsically like who he really was when it got down to it, because Murder Fit Ghost came out quite a bit. All right? Even in Murder Fit Ghost came out even in business. You know what I'm saying? And so I felt like she really knew that.
You astutely answered the question. I can't argue at all with that. You have a director who came in one time and said, "I don't think the kids know Ghost." And I said, "Yes, they do." And you can't be a director telling me that which I curated with the aid of Courtney, with the aid of 50, and with the aid of Joe. The four of us kind of curated Ghost. You can't tell me that the kids don't know Ghost. Just like the darks of Omari, Brave, and Nova know. They know some real bad shit that I've done. They know some shit mail that you don't know. Because I gave birth to those kids. So I'm not real big on like fabricating my life. They can't know everything, but they know some dark shit. Like, oh shit, Papa's not, all right. And so I begged to differ with the director, and it was a director I highly respect and trusted, and he sat and listened. And he was like, oh, that makes sense. I said they might not necessarily understand in title what the streets of New York think of when they hear Ghost. But absolutely they know, I guess, the fabric and the thread of that guy. They know he's an ominous figurine. They know he's ferocious. They know that their pops has a way about him. They know that he's doting and loving, which Omari's doting and loving, but I'm also super crazy, which you can't play the character if you're not. So this guy is somebody that I agree you answered correctly in that which I asked you, which is why were you Team Tasha? Your point is, if the kids know that side of that guy, Tasha not only knows it, she was perfectly befitting of that side, whereas the mistress was not. Completely agree. Completely. So basically, Ghost was lonely. Because one woman figured out,
right.
One girl knew one side of me, and then the other, we say woman, not girl. One woman knew and embraced one side of me. The other woman embraced another side. But can I find something that embraces both and rocks out with? That's hard. That's hard to find. Sometimes in life, but also in fiction.
again, once you watched all Raising King,
Oh, I love it.
they renewed that show for like 2 more seasons, so that's going to be a just like Power get 6.
Well, and I'm glad they let Mario Van Peebles direct some episodes because I'm not kidding. Like, kind of like how certain actor turned directors just are so invaluable. Like, I can tell often when Eric LaSalle has directed an episode, there's a great emotional speech. I can tell when Jonathan Frakes has a episode done because he's got a very eye-catching
actors. I mean, Jonathan Frakes, right? I mean, he's such a great director. One, he's an actor. Like directors who are actors,
he knows how to just trust his cameras and his crew.
But he was the one actor on Next Generation who was literally going to the production meetings. You know, that's not
all the track turn directors. Like they all said, "Okay, I got to make it or break it." In fact,
not on the level of Jonathan Frakes, man. Like I met him over the summer, dude. Like not on the level of Jonathan Frakes, man. That dude, while he's doing command director, he's also in production meetings, you learning that shit. And
he's
that's
getting
not
read up on technology. He's not relying on just what do you think I should do. Well, he knows what he should do.
Next Generation film that he directed did fucking well at the box office and story wise. He actually, to this day, he regrets that he did not direct Nemesis. If he would have directed Nemesis,
And to be fair, he should have used his power and said, "You guys promised LeVar. You gotta let LeVar direct."
there is that too. They did fuck him over on that.
But like Roxanne Dawson, Torres, and Paris from Voyager, they become great actors turned directors too, and they both did.
Roxanne, who played what's her name, old boy? She's the best one out of that group directing.
I agree.
She directed several, just like Frax. She's directed
Mercy Street, Crossing Jordan. She's done everything, but like her first day she directed, she was sick to the stomach. And she just toughed it out. She's like, if I use my go home early card, no one's gonna ever trust me with a film set ever again. I'm like, oh man.
Because you're an actor coming into a role of director. Yeah, like
people are gonna play the card and say, oh, you spoiled elite, you're not serious.
Exactly. You know, like
and she went home miserable the next day, but it paid off. And I'm like, and I think Mario Van Peebles, he's just always so energetic. Like he's using the same energy he used on Posse and New Jack City in these episodes he does. And I mean, there's a lot of similar ground to cover, but
favorite films he ever did, like
he just came out with another spinoff of Posse. I'm like, I can't wait to watch that.
The acting roles, like he did Gunman with Christopher Lambert.
Gunman, yep. Oh,
I
man.
love that. I mean,
did you see A Million Little Things?
Say it again?
Did you see A Million Little Things?
I don't think I have.
Okay, so long story short, it's kind of 30-something St. Elsewhere, but it's got James Roday from Psych being dramatic, but Mario comes in the last season playing a key character who's been mentioned for the last few seasons, and he just killed it. The man can still just... And really similar to Power, like everybody went through so many transitions to where you're like, oh, I hate you. You're selfish now, but I understand why you're dying of cancer. And he had the whole thing is like, oh my God, you thought I cheated on your mother? I would never. Why did she say that? Oh, she said that because she was jealous of my coworker who she thought I liked, but I didn't. And so it's a soapy show, but it is really just the decisions they made just felt so plausible and relatable. And I think the reason actors like working with him is just he is able to just show, I mean, he can take any premise. It can be just like any of the blaxploitation B movies he worked on with his dad, or it can be an everyday thing, and he just knows how to make use of the time, the budget, the energy, the themes, and make it stand out. And I'm like, see, that's an actor's director. But yeah, Gunman is definitely one of his best action movies of the 90s.
Yeah, man, him and Christian Lambert, that and Highlander 3, they both had great chemistry in both those films working together.
Yeah. He worked a lot with Ice-T and Wesley Snipes on a few other things, and then Sally Richardson.
Yeah, he did. He worked with him quite a few on different
Blair
things.
Underwood. Yeah.
Oh, what was this one movie that Ice-T did with Susie Amy, she was married to.
Judgment Day. Yes. Oh my
He's
God.
married to Cameron now. I love it. He acted in that, and he also directed that too, Mario.
Yeah, he's the main bad guy, and he got.
Yeah.
I think the reason I love him and Lou Diamond Phillips so much is they can take a nothing role and do so much more with it, but then they stayed relevant. Like, if you didn't see any of the movies, big mainstream ensemble movies they were doing, then you saw a lot of these indie films they were getting released on Showtime and HBO, and it didn't matter what the budget was. They were still the best part of the production because they just made so much great use of their concepts and time, and it's just like, okay, cool, you elevated what could have been a generic B movie and you made it bigger than it was. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. But getting back to Power though, man, like that show was just...
sorry guys, we're talking all sorts of the crew, but there's a lot of great filmmakers on this.
Every time we have a conversation, dude, we always do this.
One
this is a filmmaking in general, man.
Oh, and I think they did. Courtney Kemp and 50 definitely hired some great people. The George Tillman Jr., who's done The Hate You Give and Men of Honor, he directed a bunch of episodes, including the pilot. And I think it just, again, like, I think it appealed to a lot of people. It wasn't just, I'm doing the next gangster show and it's going to be edgy on, premium channels.
Again, like, yeah, it's easy to do just your generic type gangster type shit, but like what makes these, like, going back to The Godfather, going back to stories, it's the person.
You were my friend, Fredo. Sorry.
I know it was you, Fredo.
It was you stabbing me in the back.
I
don't know why I just did a crappy Italian accent, but
but like, again, story with the characters that I mean, why do people love mafia history so much, man? I've studied mafia history from the beginning of it to the five families.
It's just like all the dictators of the world. It's so funny when they have a contradiction. You're like, whoa, this person thought this way, even though their day job was doing this day by day. Wow. Okay.
It's the personalities and the personal stories, man, that make these type of shows work. Because, like, I mean, yeah, you could easily have these guys be like one-dimensional, common day gangsters. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But they're not. I mean, they're multifaceted, they're multi-layered. Just like people in real life, man, we're not one-dimensional. Well, some people are, but those people are just fucking stupid.
I love it. Yes. That's true. It's just like, okay.
All these, even like Tommy is the most complex character of them all, man. Like, he.
Well, how about the fact that he's got the worst girlfriend of all time? And,
she just has a beast. When it comes to women, man, he just has bad
He has
luck.
terrible taste. And it's just so wild. Is like, he keeps picking all these sociopaths who, and it's so funny. She is trying to turn him against everybody. And he's like, no. I might have an issues with ghosts, but I'm like the unofficial, like, godfather to his kids, so I'm not. No.
But like, there's one thing Tommy will never do, and that's be a rat. Like, the moment you mention a rat and working with the cops, he gonna kill you.
It's so wild how he had to dispose of his girlfriend, and he's just like, the sex was good, but she was gonna kill everybody in my world. Can't have it. Can't have it.
She was gonna rat. She was gonna rat.
She was trying to turn me against all of Tasha's friends. That ain't cool.
Who you are. If you turn to a rat, you will.
Man.
But like, wait till you watch Full Force, man, with him, because you have characters that come back from Power that mix with him.
Who's your favorite of the bunch? Like, my favorite is 2-Bit, especially when Tariq is getting stalked by the hitman at the college, and he's like, how much? I'll kill him for you. Like, okay. You're a hitman now, 2-Bit. Okay, cool. And it's like, he hates Ghost, but he respects him at the same time. He's like, no, I won't mess with him. I'll mess with Tommy, though. Fuck that dude. And I love how I don't know what it is. Just the actor should do more, but his humor just reminds me of some of the humor on like the Boondocks, kind of is like, how much you want for it?
I mean, the reason why people love Two Bit so much because he has one, he's clearly not scared of anybody. He's not scared of Tommy. He's not scared of Ghost. He's not scared of nobody. But he has perfect timing and delivery with his lines, and like when him and Spanky were together, like it was just comedic gold with those two.
That's true. Spanky is just an awkward nerd, and he's just like, "Come on, dude, man up. I'll get you a cheeseburger when it's all said and done."
Like once he found out he was a rat, like he said he's food, and like like he was done with. But that's why I keep Two Bit
Unless
around.
you have like something in bright letters on your shirt saying "Don't mess with me," he's gonna mess with you.
But yeah, I like Two Bit's character because he's the one character again who has not changed. He's him. He knows who he is. He knows what he wants. He's just him. He's not scared of nobody.
Well, he could have easily been wasted. Like at first, you see him just in the background in season 2, and then he gets more to do.
Like I'm just saying, as a character, if you notice, he's the one character. Like he's not. He's one of the lower level guys that literally is not scared of anybody.
Oh, totally. And kudos to them for doing something with all these characters, because so many shows go downhill by either having too many people, or not doing anything with them. And so then when the actor gets bored, it's like, well, now you got to find someone else to take their place because you wasted an entire season having them do nothing.
The actor who played Jesus, man, like he trained a lot to get in shape and be ready to play the character like he was in graphic novel.
If you're wasting me, I'm gonna leave. And
well, he basically said like, hey, they wasted his character quite a bit. He didn't do nothing.
Like, look at Julio. They've done more with him as he's gone on, instead of just say yes sir, no sir to Tommy and James.
Like Julio was a good character.
He could have easily just been, I'm doing nothing, and they would catch him with his pants down. He's like, oh boss, I spot out something.
That's the hand of a good writer though. Like you don't waste your characters.
Yeah, dude, I can't tell you how many shows I've had to give up. I'm like, they're not gonna, and I can't blame the actor for leaving. It's like you were giving them nothing to do except arrest someone at the end of the episode or just be the smart scientist in the room. Okay, that's gonna get old after 5 episodes. Carlos Luis, who's played by Luis Antonio Ramos, who you might know from The Shield and a few other shows. I thought he's a very handsome Puerto Rican guy, but for once I was glad to see him be a key kingpin.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. So he's progressing as an actor. He's got to be eating this role out because he's the head of the Soldado Nation, and he's distributing the drugs for Ghost. And see, that's what made it more interesting to me, because it's like, okay, instead of Breaking Bad, where the main guy accidentally works his way into being a drug dealer by night, I like how they got this whole code. You're showing them how the sausage is made, so to speak. And instead of just, we don't have enough supplies, or we're in a turf war with someone else, or someone's misbehaving at the nightclub and it happened to be one of the gangsters' girlfriends, there's just so many other layers. It's like, oh shit, I just got, blackmailed by this guy. How are we going to deal with him? Or I just, there's a target on my back, Ghost. What do I do? Can't distribute stuff for you. And we go back, and I would never rat you out. And I liked how it was just like, okay, so the Lobos are doing me dirty, and all these other guys are playing around. There's all so many factors that we're not just working together. There's a code.
With this show, they did a great job of establishing the conflicts these characters face, and they did a good job.
Instead of a good actor just putting on an accident performance, is like, okay, no stereotypes here.
Because establishing the conflicts within the story, how these characters react with the choices they make. They did a good job of establishing these elements with their characters and their personalities. And you can have a character in the same situation, two characters in the same situation. You see how their personalities show how they may solve it in a entirely different way. Tommy, his prime way of handling something is just kill the motherfucker. Ghost, on,
Yes, he's not a subtle man, and
Ghost, on the other hand, may, no, let's not kill this dude. Let's use him. Let's
it's
use
the
him.
crime underworld. So I liked how it's like you say, there's no stone turned untouched. So
Yeah.
when you get to the first season of book 2, and they introduce is like we're going to be doing more about we're giving you more than just other dons, other queen pins that are at large. We're doing more than just drugs trading. We're doing more than nightclubs. We're doing more legal battles, but here's Tariq's unstable Stansfield University College, and here's the shithead Professor Jabari, who is uh, like a toxic alpha male. Is like you know the minute he first appears, you're like, oh, it's so funny. I just called it, but as it was happening, I'm like, sleazeball in 5, 4, 3, 2. Yep, sure enough, he's sleeping with every other female professor who should know better. And the when he gets killed like by accident, like, and they set him up as making it look like he like lost it one day and was doing drugs, is like he is doing other unethical stuff, but I like how Tariq and others like pin it on him. And it's just like, man, that is so,
I mean, you.
that was just so wild. It's like it was a Tarantino moment, for lack of a better word. I was like, yep, this
That one situation and that's set off a chain of a whole other shit.
Yeah, because you know it's not going to be one and done. The criminals know he didn't really do it. The public and law enforcement is confused. They're like, okay, we knew he was shady. We didn't know it was that shady.
I mean, yeah, I mean that, like, setting him up, actually, again, that goes back to show why I think Tyreek is actually not as smart as I think he is. Because half the time if you can get Tyreek's history, his track record,
Ghost would have set something up to where it's like, I can't argue with you on that. Well,
every time Tyreek sets something up, his plans always turn to shit.
Or it's someone else's idea he takes credit for, and you're like, think about that a little harder.
If you look at his character on Powers, like, dude, like, you're nowhere near as what your dad.
I think that's the other issue. Like, he took his advice from Tommy, but here's the thing: Tommy knew how to make his blunt decisions and back him up. He hasn't had any street time, so he's having to learn as he goes.
So let's go back to season. Tommy he straight up told Turk, I never wanted this for you. I didn't want you on this shit. And he that's the advice from Tommy he should have taken. Get the fuck out this shit and live the
You're
life.
not cut out for it, so don't.
Yeah, he's an intelligent guy, but if you look at when we get caught up with the totality of book 2, what the fuck? Yeah, he's done some things here and there, but for the most part, he's
like, for instance, I can't blame Ghost for having to work with Tate. He needed some political leverage just so he could tell law enforcement, stop fucking with me.
That's just politics in general. That's just normal.
He's like, okay, this guy's gullible. He's very transparent. He's saying everything that anybody could say, but he knows how to just still the energy in the room, so to speak. And
yeah, I mean, Tate, the reason why he got far as he did, because he was a cop, so he has that on his record.
It's kind of like a veteran when they run. They just run on the Patriot card, you know?
Like, but yeah, dude, like, going back to Tyree's character, man, it's like, it's like, that's why I don't like his character, like, he's just so full of shit. And like, there are points in book 2, like, I'm like, okay, they kind of redeem him a little bit in my eyes, but at the same time, it's like, how fucking stupid are you, dude? Like, yeah, you're more like your father than you think, but at the same time, a lot of what your father had, you don't have. Your father wouldn't even been in that situation to begin with.
No, that's a good point. I think they could have introduced him a lot better. And I mean, I think it really only helps that the show is kind of a third person perspective, so you're able to kind of.
I don't think that they introduced him poorly. I think that was the whole point of his character in general, was just show this kid who's mad at his mom and dad because they lied to him about things. I get that.
Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of annoying characters who couldn't carry a show because they wouldn't have anything interesting going on around him. Like, if you did a show about Kim Bauer on 24, I wouldn't even tune in. I'd be like, nope.
True. I mean, I like her character, but no, I would be interested in watching the
I
show.
like the acting. I just like the character is just there to,
You know, yeah. I mean, she does a couple of things in like
she
season
does a
3,
few wise things. Yes, in 3 and 7.
3, and she worked for CTU in season 3. That's
Yeah.
how couple of things. But yeah, I wouldn't want the show dedicated just to her. But yeah, like with Tyreek's character, like look, like he got his sister killed. He
And he didn't
well,
own up to it ever. He was just like, "Oh, I'm depressed."
like you know, he's running like a little bitch while his sister was actually braver.
That's the other irony, yes. And I am just sad after I watched that episode. I'm like, oh, damn you producers. You did not just kill the sister.
Like we got this boy having behind with a fucking bench while his sister is talking shit to the dude. I'm like, yeah, dude. And then like from that point on, it's just it was fuck up or manipulation.
Dre is interesting how he goes. You just go, okay, so he's full of it, and Ghost says keep him in line. Oh, now he's got a big head, and now he wants to play games with both Tommy and Ghost while becoming allies with their rivals. And so that was interesting.
Like, you know, that he's similar to Tyreek to a degree. You know, Ghost for trying to
It's a
show
little
him.
bit. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he actually did make him his bitch for a bit. But like, you know, he Ghost trying
It's
to
like
show him.
Sax. I love to hate him. I'm just like, okay, you're not.
I mean, like Dre got himself killed. I mean, he had everything. He had money. He had new fucking identification. They were going to Vegas, but he couldn't let it go. Again, like with that episode where Ghost just talks down to every fucking body, right? This
Yeah.
episode. It was the episode he initially got shot into. That set up to kill him. He's just talking shit there, but like he couldn't let that last conversation go from Ghost. Like he had to, like, dude, you had everything. You had money, new IDs. You had your old lady and your kid. You're going to Vegas. You're free, man. You're out this shit.
Kudos to them though for also just showing how they survive using social media and rumors and other stuff. I think that's why the show just really took off for me.
It goes back, and this is something that it's that old school water cooler talk. I mean, we live in the age of social media where everything's instant.
Yep.
Good pros and cons, but remember back growing up back in the day, you know, like when a show was on, you know, you watched it, then like you didn't know what the fuck was. You would go out and talk with people, right? You know, like you like that water. You know, like shit. You see that episode? You see what fucking happened to him? Like you're the whole week you're like talking and getting ready for the next episode. We still see that with social media, but I mean you got your fucking trolls and all that other shit. That kind
Unfortunately, I mean, look at some of the latest shows that have been on. It's like you don't determine what does or doesn't get canceled, guys. Come on.
They really don't. I mean, this is like we had to talk last
And
time.
shame on the studios for having to bow to it. Oh, they don't like it. I guess we'll retreat.
Yeah, you know, like fans really think they own franchises. Like, you know, just because you're a fan of something doesn't
If I
mean
don't like something, I stop watching it.
Yeah,
I don't go, oh, you like that? You're a dipshit. Well, fuck you, dude.
Last time what pissed me off, like you're so like if you honestly don't like the writing, you don't watch the show, or if you think you can do better, go write a fucking script, go pitch it.
Bingo. If you think you can do better, and don't say, oh, I could write in my sleep. No, you really can't.
You can't.
You might be able to write, but can you go through all the different pitch meetings and compromises? Probably not.
Exactly. It's like, you know, I mean,
this business will break you, unfortunately. I don't really miss my doing extra work because I was on so many sets where people were talking smack. I'm like, the lead is literally across the room from you. He or she can hear you. Why are you doing this?
Because they're just
He's such an ego. He's learning his lines while his stunt man or stand-in goes and sets up the scene. That's not being an ego maniac.
Yeah, but man, let's be honest though. In this industry, you have to have somewhat of an ego. I mean, everybody has somewhat of an ego to a degree, and it's not necessarily an ego. So it's just confidence in your ability. Some cases, yeah, you got some arrogant assholes out there. I mean, it's just life. Well, in many cases, it's not ego, really. It's just I'm confident in my ability and what I'm
I need to
fucking.
get into the zone. I'm not holding up acting because of a shitty boyfriend on set or anything. People are dumb.
Unfortunately. But yeah, dude, like Power, dude, like a great show. I literally watched it the day it premiered and the day it ended. And
There's always something to take away from it. It's not like any other show where you're like, okay, that was a weaker episode I skip over or this or that. It's like, no, that it all pretty much ran together and surprises were earned, twists were very twisty. Like, good luck putting a Wikipedia up of it. It's
definitely
so
one that you can go back and rewatch and still find out something new you didn't catch before. Like Sons of Anarchy. I love that show. I watched that show.
No, that's a good point. Yellowstone, I would rewatch maybe some episodes. I don't think I'd rewatch every season because there is some messy stuff in there. Ray Donovan, I might rewatch. I would just have to skip a few scenes with the annoying siblings. Like this show, like I wouldn't want to skip for anything. Like I just same kind of like Breaking Bad. I just feel like
you get immersed in the story. You can't miss a beat.
it's all it's all one giant onion. I can't strip away any layer. Looking at Lakeisha, like I liked how so Tasha's got a legit friend. She's briefly romantic with Tommy. The creator Courtney Kemp said she wouldn't have killed this character off, but truth be told, I thought that whole arc.
I liked it.
No, I thought it like without this, you don't show. We don't get the Tasha going to the dark side more, and we don't.
Well, we don't get without that. You don't get that's what causes the. Remember, Tommy and Tasha in the beginning, they're like best friends. They're tight as fuck. That issue, that conflict, causes a complete dynamic change in their relationship. Where in the end, he had a gun to her head, and she would be dead if he hadn't chosen not to pull that trigger. And that shit plays off, continues in book 2, and finally gets resolved. I'm not gonna say how, but that finally gets resolved later in Power Book 2. So again, even though that Keisha character is gone, still played a huge fucking.
There's all kinds of parts of it. I liked how, and she didn't play it as the role. Lala Anthony has done a lot of MTV and everything, but like I actually thought she was the right kind of role for this because she didn't play it as a bimbo. She didn't play it as a clueless best friend. Like she was like, I want to do fashion, and that this was like don't get me wrong, I like Sopranos, but there are some subplots that I'm like that didn't really go anywhere, even though that's technically the point. It was to show this person was compromised and gonna go downhill from here. I thought this was good at just showing is like, okay, Tasha's got some legit friends, but they're not so clean cut either. And
she was mainly basically really clean cut until Tasha kind of manipulated her into using her shop as to launder money. And
it was like,
and
she wasn't dumb or anything. She literally got converted. She just thought, oh, that sounds good. Okay, no one gets hurt really. Oh.
I mean, that's what she was told, but then of course that's situations like that. That's never a guarantee. You can't guarantee safety in that shit. Anything can pop off in that shit. So, with her character, she was gonna rat. She had the papers. And that's just something you just don't fucking do. She chose to fucking help launder money. She didn't have to do that. That means you chose to be in that life. Therefore, there are things you just don't fucking. You're not a civilian. You're part of that life now. There's certain things you just don't do. And yeah, it was a fucked up thing. A best friend killing their best friend like that. But she was gonna rat, and everybody was gonna go to jail. So I mean, her own son. So I mean. Yeah, it was fucked up, but
and every scene really does serve a purpose. There was never a moment where I'm just like they're out of ideas or they're just trying to get it to the 20-minute angle. Like even the sex scenes, They are hot as fuck. Don't get me wrong, they are spicy, but they are never Game of Thrones level where you're like, that felt like a softcore porn.
I mean, they were, they're not gratuitous. They were used.
And half the time, something's going on. Like someone's actually talking during the scene, and like, okay, we're seeing them go to the dark side furthermore. We're seeing them embrace their shame.
Not a fuck scene. It's an actual intimate scene. It's not a random.
It's not a smut scene. It's like, okay, cool. This is spicy, but then he's having flashbacks, especially in Ghost. Like he is having flashbacks going back to his like, shit, that's right. This did just happen.
They're showing like these two characters are not just, it's not just a sex scene.
It's not just the network gave us ideas and we're going to use our freedom to.
But no, they're using that to show the intimacy and the connection between those two characters.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're having sex, but they're showing
a lesser filmmaker would have been like, okay, you're just going to have,
just
a wank scene. And I get it. It's hard to do. There's plenty of ways to misinterpret.
Stories actually with them shooting those scenes, man. They were very professional, and but there were funny things happening in those scenes.
No, that's true. Because like 50, he's a bad boy. We like him for it, but like I haven't heard anything toxic on these productions or anything. So that's great. Because my heart gets broken when I hear about, oh, that guy you loved, he was a douche to everybody on set.
Fucking good. I mean, not just with Power, but if you watch his other stuff too, he's actually a really good actor, man. Like he's a good actor. He gets his part. He actually does studies.
I want him in more. Omari should be in more. And he was also just a total pro. Like there were some,
but again, how things kind of ended with Power. I mean, he was asked back to come to do like actual ghost scenes on book 2, from what he said in the interview, but he just do it.
Well, and he wasn't a douche about it, and he made it pretty clear. He's like, okay, I'm ready to go to the next stage of my career. There were some toxic fans online saying, oh, they made an off-color joke. I guess Ghost isn't coming back. And if he was any other celeb, he could have lashed out at that idiot, but he said, nope, I'm not going to respond to a troll.
What's the point? He's a nobody. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, fans don't.
What do I care about what this moron who watches the show thinks?
I mean, fans don't know all the behind the scenes stuff.
They just wanted an angry reaction from him. He's like, I'm not going to give that to you.
That's what they want, because you're going to give him 15 minutes of fame, and they're going to, how things are going nowadays, you're going to post that shit.
Why this actor hates working on this show. Yeah, he's like, nope.
He didn't hate working on the show. It's just he had disagreements with some of the writing stuff toward the end, but for the most part, he loved the show. He had issues with production people behind the scenes taking, as in studio executives, taking credit for things that were built off of him, but never giving him the full. Again, he never got a fucking producer's credit on the show. They wouldn't give it to him.
Oh, that's bullshit.
A common thing for lead actors on shows to get a producer.
They didn't even offer him a producer role? Okay, well, so now I take it back. There was one toxic thing that happened.
He was denied it. He asked for it and tried to get it. He was denied it.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Other people, other shows, that's a common thing nowadays when you're for a lead. He was denied that producer credit. And
maybe that's why he said, I love the fame and fortune this show brought me. I need a better production.
What's his interview with John Bernthal on his Wild Ones podcast? Go watch that interview on YouTube when we're done and watch what he says. He doesn't name names, he's professional, but he does speak his mind some about issues behind the scenes.
Omari or John?
Omari. He's on John's show.
Okay. Oh, Omari, yeah, that's right, because they were in
type in Omari Hardwick, John Bernthal podcast, the episode will come up. And listen to what he has to say, and you'll get, and this is why fans now are starting to get a better understanding of why he's starting to come out now years later, little by little, still being professional, but just talking about certain things about his, it was mainly with the executives and stuff like that.
It seems like 50 didn't speak up until he's like, oh, I hate this. I'm not gonna work on this show anymore.
said he had no issue with 50. Like 50, like he commended 50. Go watch the interview when we're.
I
trust me,
promise. Promise.
But yeah, dude, like again, dude, this was a great show. I loved it.
Totally.
I'm digging the spinoffs now that I've watched them. Full Force final season starts next year. I'm looking forward to that. So I'll see how book 2 ends.
It doesn't feel like it's out of ideas, unlike other stuff where you're just like, why?
You know, like I said, Raising Canaan's got renewed for 2 more seasons. They got
That's great. I still need to see Omari's horror film Spell, but I liked him in Army of the Dead and Reach Me. Did you ever see the Ada DuVernay film Middle of Nowhere?
No, I have not.
Okay, so that's just a movie where he's an imprisoned husband.
I didn't like him as though. I thought he was good in that.
Yeah, shot caller, hence why he's on Bernthal. They go back a ways, but definitely some similar actors where they're just like, hey, we've been in all kinds of productions, but giving it 100, never. I mean, but yeah, Omari's been in so many things that people forget he was in, like Gridiron Gang, and I've seen him in some other guest spots. Like the charisma is impeccable, and I commend him on that. And he's trying all these different kinds of roles. It's like any of us would be chicken shits to want to even attempt. Just like he's going to all kinds of roles where it's like, I commend you for that because that's a difficult role to even picture. So like kudos. And
yeah, man.
It wasn't just. I mean, Ghost was just cool in that he was more than just I'm a street soldier with various friends and enemies and allies. It was more than I'm a family man and I'm trying to stay legit, but obviously that's not going to happen. It was more, I guess, I dug the character because it was more, for lack of a better word. And see, this is why it's a good show. It's hard to even put into words. I think he really, like all the other characters, they had people they could have easily dealt with years ago. He had a lot of inescapable scenarios and he had to play it cool every step of the way. He could lie with conviction. He could protect with conviction. He had so many backup plans. When I want to see a hero, or in this case, a villain protagonist, strike back at all the bigger bad apples, I love it when they keep the taut tension. And he had just so many other things, like when he and Tommy are suiting up and still ambushed and having they're able to acknowledge that was some stupid luck, instead of I'm invincible until the next time someone tries to kill me. It was just so, I think they brought the humanity at a harder pace.
Talking about when sorry, I got distracted for a quick second. Are you talking about when they lit up
he's getting ambushed at his car and Tommy comes in unexpectedly and shoots up the Korean gang?
Yeah, he even told Holly they lit my ass up.
Yeah, and it needed that amount of dark humor also, because for a while gangster shows were kind of just stealing from Scorsese or Tarantino, and it sucked after a while because it's like, okay,
levity in things, dude. Because in life there is levity, right? Like,
yeah.
Things just fucking dark. Like even the shit stuff I write that's dark, I make sure I have humor with my characters.
Yeah, always. Humor takes out the best, and you don't have to have them talking fancy.
Yeah, and also that with the audience too. The audience always needs a break from time to time from that
something, a breather.
Reel out, get their composure, have something lighter, and then you draw them back in. It's like if it's just like, let's go with it's the classic, but I mean, Requiem for a Dream. That movie is fucking dark as shit, right? It's very uncomfortable, particularly when you get to the end.
I hated Apocalypse Now growing up, but I came around to it in a film studies class. But that was one of those movies where you want to watch it maybe every 5-10 years. You don't want to watch it every year or every week.
Well, I love the book is based off of, man. I did a paper on the book is based off of Heart of Darkness.
Yeah, Heart of Darkness. Yeah.
Like, I've always enjoyed that story. Actually, did I do a paper on the movie too? I may have.
I would love to read it.
That was like shit, like 12, 13 years ago now. But like, I
But I
wouldn't
mean,
even have.
Omari's been in some other stuff like Sorry to Bother You and, a satirical sci-fi. And so I think he's got a good agent. I think he loves being part of all these ensembles that have a very tough to describe scenario.
I mean, go, dude, when we're done, and I do have to kind of get off, I get ready for work
Yeah.
in the morning.
Sorry.
No, I love these long conversations.
I thought I pretty much had my notes. You had your notes. I think we pretty much all hit the ones we were gonna.
Every time we have these conversations, why I love coming on your podcast, man. Like, because even though we have a topic we're talking about, we talk about all different things, but at the end of the day, it all goes back to what we are generally talking about. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking things that, like how I talk about Oz and those little connections and stuff like that. Again,
Top
we
10.
love storytelling, and
We love stuff that's earned because there's so many times where you're like, what? That season was all about this and that. Oh, that's a cheat. Don't do that.
that is definitely, it's you understand the test of time. It's up there now with like Breaking Bad and all those shows. You know what I mean? It's
It
up
really
there.
should be. And I think that's what I get annoyed by. Why is it not talked about more? It can't be just, oh, I don't have stars. Well,
No, I mean it's
subscribe to Stars.
We're definitely talking about it because I mean the show had 6 seasons and it's got fucking 1, 2, 3, 4 spinoffs, about to be 5 spinoffs now because they got the origins coming out now about young Tommy and young Ghost.
Okay, so that's right. Because Councilman Tate was supposed to be the fourth one. Then they were like, no, let's backtrack. Let's have him be part of book 2.
Yeah,
and
I mean I love Lorenz Tate, but that character is not enough to do a show on his own. Lorenz Tate can pull a show off on his own, but not that character he's playing.
I mean, look at it this way. Like, Suits is coming out with a spinoff. A lot of people don't think it'll be any good, but we're going to be there day one because we like the original show and second show.
I am a fan of the Green Arrow. Stephen Amell, I've met him. He is a good actor.
Oh, sweet. Did you see the movie he did with his brother, Code 8?
Code 8? Not yet.
It's a bunch of sci-fi movies they did.
I know about it. I've been wanting to watch it. I just keep forgetting to. I'm going to watch it. I know the sequel finally. I'm probably going to watch them back to back.
That's actually the best way to do it because I'm like, when's the sequel coming out? We're supposed to get a web series version of this. Then finally it comes out and you're like,
I know. That's not his brother. That's his cousin.
My bad. Yes. Too many Hamills.
He was on the Flash too. Like Robbie. That's Robbie Amell.
That's right.
Dude, I like him. That he was in that babysitter comedy horror film.
I think it's just called The Babysitter. Yeah, with Bella Gell. Yeah.
Dude, his character was fucking hilarious, dude. Like I will admit, I enjoyed his character in that show. I didn't think I was gonna like those movies, but they were hilarious. But yeah, dude, like Powers is a show that's gonna stand the test of time, man. Yeah.
It all connects. I think there wasn't ever a moment where you're like, this character doesn't belong with the rest of these guys.
When you get caught up with book 2, we need to do just one over that.
Oh, trust me, yeah. If I showed you my list of future topics, your head would explode.
Yeah. Like, we do need to do that Jack Bauer moment because, dude, we always talk about 24 every time we talk, man. So
Carlos Bernard's a good director turned actor too. I am so impressed by the stuff he's taken on. Like, don't get me wrong, like he's definitely. I would love to see even more Latino heritage and pride movies from him, but I would also love to just see just any other hard-boiled idea that he's got. Like, just give that man a budget. Like, there's so many great TV directors who really would be able to hold their own instead of just be is the producer happy? And and again, like I say, storytelling. There's so many times where you're like, okay, I would not. Maybe it's a mediocre script, but it's a great execution, so it speaks louder than words. And then there's other ones where you're like, yeah, I can't get through a minute of the script, so I don't know how you could translate it very well on screen without boring someone. It's such a hard process.
I did an audition. I got the script. Dude wanted me to play a racist It was not me, but I was auditioning for it. It was uh, basically a racist black cop. And when I did the audition, it's supposed to be a serious film, but the dialogue was just so fucking funny. Like every time me and I think Terrence helped me shoot the audition tape. We couldn't stop laughing, dude. It's like this dialogue is so fucking funny. It's like I can't take this shit seriously. Yeah,
They'll make it or break it. I was auditioning for a superhero audio drama. I took one look at the dialogue. I'm like, even by comic book standards, this is just very meh. Like it doesn't speak volumes even at this. I think it's just when we work so much behind the scenes, we get to that point where you're like, I can't make this cliche human. It's too stupid. It's too dumb.
I mean, like, actors only get as material that they're given.
If I'm gonna play a crooked FBI guy or a politician who's trying to do the right thing but can, or if I'm trying to do, I don't know, just like any complex role that would be so cinematic. Like, I don't want it to be a stereotype. I don't want it to also, especially if it's a good cause. Like, let's say it is a good cause, trying to show corruption that, or defunding or something that needs to be addressed in society that society doesn't want to talk about. The last thing I want to do is just become a cartoon and make us go backwards. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so this is well meaning, but this comes off as an exploitation film. That's not good because this is a topic we should really talk about, like prison reform or giving teachers a better salary, you know? Like, I don't.
Those cases, stuff like that's more documentarian. So I mean, like film. I mean, look at satire. A lot of films that are satire typically, have can have good messaging in them. If they're talking about shit.
Satire, I'll definitely trust, because anything can be reworded.
I think it's just the story and the character, and does that have any meat on it for you? Is it something that piques your interest? Is it something that you can do? Like saying, going back to the cop one, like it's interesting, because there are racist black cops out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would hate for it to just be not well directed or just.
It's just how the guy wrote the dialogue. It's like you're trying to make this dude like a drill sergeant, and I get that. You got some rookies with him, but it's also like this kind of comedic, like.
Well, same thing with a gangster. Like, I want him to just show a very realistic, like how a criminal like that would operate. I don't want it to just be I'm playing to the camera.
Yeah,
and
so
then gonna shoot the guy at the end of the scene. Okay, now I've just become a human cartoon, for lack of a better word, instead of giving a voice.
Become a cliche, basically.
I don't want to offend any race. I don't want to offend any demographic or group. I mean, like, if I say, like, if I curse the Lord's name in vain or something, it's like, okay, cool. Like, I'm already a politically incorrect movie, but like, I'm showing how this person doesn't. I want every word to matter. I don't want it to just be like, I'm just funning,
But at the same time, man, the character is a character.
Well, that too. Like, if that's the character, like, hey, this guy has no respect for anybody, so he's cursing out in this. I just want to make sure like all the bases are covered, like people are in on the joke and everything. You know what I mean? Like,
time with certain characters, right? I mean, unfortunately, these people, racist people exist. Does that mean I shouldn't write a character that's racist because somebody's gonna get offended? Like, dude, racist people exist.
Well, no, absolutely, but like, I want to make sure everybody's in on the same deal. Like, the last thing I want to do is humanize a racist. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to.
Look at American History X, right? Like, that is humanizing a racist. It's showing how a racist, violent racist, opens his mind and completely changes his life. I mean, it's still a very strong, brutal movie when it comes to, you get
That's
curb
showing a
stomp.
guy's reform. That's a good point.
Curb stomping in motherfucker is some brutal shit. But again, that's happening in real life every single day. You read about, you have people who are neo-Nazi skinheads who.
Absolutely. I just want to make sure we're in a mature mindset. Like, Nate and I had to kick a guy off a war idea we had because he thought these war crimes that were in the script were kind of justified. He's like, he's a soldier. I'm like, we're trying to show this guy's a war criminal hiding behind his honor.
Well, yeah, I mean, if that's a guy who has conflict with your production, you gotta get together.
Right. That's someone he doesn't get it. So I'm not gonna.
Even if you, I've been on part of project with maybe story choices and stuff that I don't necessarily agree with, but it's not my fucking story. So
There's also that.
Their story, man. So it's not my job to tell them what the fuck to do with it.
I've been part of movies where the idea was great, but the dialogue sucked. It's like, yeah, 911 or Vigilante or Gangster, I don't think would act that way, but that's just me. What do I know?
At the end of the day, you gotta let them tell their story. I mean, if it succeeds, it'll succeed. If it flops, it flops. But at the end of the day, it's their story. You know, you can't. Like with me, like I give people, if I'm on set helping people on something that have more experience than them, I'll give them advice. But or
let's film it 5 different ways where this person acts this way.
Maybe give them something, but I always say at the end of the day, this is your film. I'll give you, my job is to help you. I'll give you here and there if I think, maybe you can use it. But at the end of the day, it's always up to you to use it or not. So
I just try to not ever be cynical because, like, I learned the hard way when I was co-producing a war movie that had some spy elements, how no one was speaking the same language. Long story short, the guy directing shouldn't have been directing. The other people were acting in it but didn't want to do the work, so that sucked. And then it got to the point where
there's
the politics were really.
That's a disgruntled set. Like, fuck this. I mean,
oh, it sucked. And after a year, but I did say, fuck this. I've already quit my job. I will not make any more time for this, especially when you guys have such empty promise. Like you're not cutting the mustard, any of you. And I needed to learn that way because I was ready to spend willy-nilly and do whatever and fuck around. It's like, I need to also pay it forward. And I also need to, if these guys don't value any of our advice, fuck them. They suck.
Going somewhere else.
Hey, man. The politics were toxic, so that was already another good reason to escape.
Yeah. You got politics on set and it's toxic. It's time to get the fuck, man.
Oh, well, and I think I hated it even more because they hid it in the script. And a bright guy like me who was read up on that should have known day one. Oh, God.
But at the same time, you're told something, maybe you're excited about the job.
I thought, okay, maybe I can look the other way. It'll be a stupid military movie. It's like, this whole thing sucks. The cinematographer doesn't value any of us. Everyone's got like multiple job positions, but not in a good way. Like we're just ignoring each other until it's time to eat. And then that just would really fuck up the rest of the day. And it's like, you can't get that energy back. Everyone's tired and wants to go home. This sucks. Anyway, yeah, I'll let you.
Yeah, dude, I do gotta go, man.
It's always a delight.
It is. Matter of fact, message me, man. We'll try to set up another one maybe a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, we need to do
best moments.
When you get caught up with book 2, we'll do a full episode on that. But we need to do
all the other Powers. Yes.
We need to do one Jack Bauer thing. Every time we talk, we all some part of
always goes back to those assholes.
So we need to do one just Jack Bauer. There are some certain scenes with Jack and story-wise that I definitely want to talk to you about.
I was on vacation, and next thing you know, someone just started mentioning him. I'm like, oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, man. But hey, dude, this is always great, man. Like I said, message me. We'll set up another one in a couple weeks.
I will follow you to the ends of the earth. If Jason Bourne is trying to kill you, I will be there at your door.
All me is going to be as a rough ride, man. So be prepared. Hey, man, you have a good night. I will talk to you soon.
I hope work is uneventful. And
take it easy, man. It's been great.
Always a delight.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up